Hey guys, so this is our tutorial on Kundinayasana, the arm balance. And there's a load of variations you can do as you approach the full posture. So we never actually have to be worrying about doing the full posture, but just seeing what we can do to build our way there. So I I have one block here with me. If you want to use it, totally optional. It just helps you get the feeling of flying if we are moving to that part of the posture. So lots of transitions to Kundinayasana. I'm not going to go over them, just the pose itself. So you have one foot to the outside edge of your hand, and you want to start with your foot to the outside edge of your hand. And then you move your hand to the outside edge of your foot. Okay, so this front leg is actually going to balance on your upper arm. And the higher you can have it up your shoulder, eventually it's over top of your shoulder and your upper back, then the easier the posture is going to be. But we, of course, do not want to strain and force our leg to go over top of our shoulder because that doesn't feel really nice. So we want to think about having space in the hip, drawing the waistline back, and then hugging that leg. Okay, so not floppy leg, hugging the leg into your side. And then when it's hugged in, you can reach with your hand to the back of your calf. Now here's a little trick. You slide back, and then see where your shoulder can get. Now try to relax when you're doing this. Inhale, you can always inhale and then exhale, relax. If we're not breathing or if it's forceful, there's a potential to feel more tension and not be able to get as far in the posture with your leg over your arm, or even cause an injury. So please don't force your leg to go where it's not ready to go yet. It takes many, many, many years to get here. So we have that. Your leg might be here. It might be over the shoulder. The right hand's out to the side. The left hand's out to the side, slightly wider than shoulders. Okay, so your one hand and your foot might be shoulder width apart, but your other hand is out to the side. Now, step one, you can try and lift your heel off the floor. So we just check out how on earth, once you're in the posture, that foot could possibly lift off of the ground. Okay, so we can lift, maybe even try lifting that foot off the ground. Now, if the foot comes off the ground and it slides away, notice what happens with your arm. You want to be pulling your arm back and squeezing your leg against your upper arm. So there's a strong connection there, holding them in place. So you squeeze and then eventually forward. Don't pull on your hamstrings to do this, and please be warm if you're trying this posture because it's quite deep in terms of flexibility and strength. So your shoulder is hooked underneath your knee. Then you can look down or slightly forward, just not look back. Don't drop your head, your head's heavy. Lift your upper back and then lift your knee. All right, so this might be good here. And then we're squeezing the inner thighs together to feel a connection to the inner thighs and Mula Bandha, the pelvic floor. And you can try lifting your foot here. So the full pose, you have both feet off of the floor with your legs in a long splits. And how do you do that? So you need to lift your front foot and bend your elbows, squeeze your elbows in, and bring your chest forward, pretty much all at the same time. So you're counterbalancing your head and your pelvis. So elbows in, lean and lift your foot, same time. Okay, so now you can see my leg is on one of my elbows. That's the full pose. And then I have cheated by also putting my stomach and rotating my other elbow in onto my belly. That's actually not how the pose is. The full pose, you have your arm beside you and you're not leaning on your arm. But if that helps you find the feeling of lifting and height and flight, then go for it, try it out. You're allowed to experiment, you're allowed to try alternatives, but just think about eventually not being on that arm. Because then we get complacent there and end up putting too much pressure on our elbow, which which over time doesn't feel that great. So with your block, you can use it to lift your back leg off the floor and put it on a tall height, or medium height, I guess that is. So the front legs over top of the arm and the shoulder, elbows in. I'm gonna lift that back knee, and then you can step your foot onto the block with your knee on the floor still. Okay, and then lean, lift your foot, and see my other foot's now higher, so I can experiment with taking it off the block, pointing the toes and reaching them in opposite directions. All right, so that's the posture, and sometimes it feels like your legs, especially the back one, is very heavy and cannot lift off the floor. So if you think about pointing, so the leg that's back, if you think about pointing through your toes, okay, the leg has to be quite strong through the inner thighs and connecting into your core to lift. And then that block that we're using behind us, if you want to use it, it just gives you that extra bit of height, so you don't have to actually draw the leg up through your core. It's already half lifted. Okay. All right, so that's Kundanyasana. Let me know how you go, or if you have any questions.